Welcome back, Deep Divers. Today, we're going to tackle a classic, one you probably had to read in school. William Golding's Lord of the Flies.
Ah, yes.
Lord of the Flies.
But even if you've already, slogged through it in English class, I think revisiting it now, as adults, well, it hits different.
Oh, it definitely does.
There's so much more to uncover, especially those darker themes that maybe didn't quite register the first time around.
It's one of those books that kind of gets under your skin, you know? It stays with you.
Oh, sure.
Golding wasn't messing around. He went deep, exploring the dark side of human nature.
Yeah.
And he did it with this incredible blend of captivating storytelling and just brutal honesty.
Right. You start reading it and you think, okay, stranded schoolboys on a deserted island, no adults. Classic adventure, right? But then, whoa, things take a turn.
Yeah.
It becomes this chilling examination of what happens when civilization crumbles, when the rules that we take for granted, well, when they just vanish.
It's fascinating, actually. Golding was initially inspired by a children's adventure novel, The Coral Island. But instead of sticking with that idealized view of kids in the wild, he wanted to show something more realistic.
Right.
A more raw, a more honest version of what might happen.
Yeah. Well, and his own experiences definitely fed into that.
Oh, absolutely.
Golding served in the Navy during World War II, so he saw firsthand the darkness that humans are capable of.
Right.
And you can feel that weight, that awareness of human cruelty woven into the very fabric of Lord of the Flies.
It's like he used the island as a microcosm, a little mini version of the world, stripped down to its bare essentials.
Yeah.
No society, no structure, just these boys and their primal instincts playing out.
Okay, so let's refresh our memories on the plot itself.
Okay.
A plane carrying these British schoolboys crashes on this, remote deserted island.
Right.
And at first, they're all about establishing order.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they try to recreate the structure they've lost, right?
Right.
They elect Ralph as their leader. Piggy, the brainy one, he's trying to bring some logic and reason to the situation.
Trying to keep things civilized.
Exactly. And they use this conch shell as a symbol of democracy and order.
The conch is such a brilliant symbol. It's not just about communication. It's about this fragile agreement to play by the rules, to have a society, even in this chaotic situation.
Totally. But as we know, things don't stay civilized for very long.
No, they don't.
Enter Jack, the antagonist, the opposite of Ralph's level-headed leadership.
Right.
He's driven by instinct, by this need to hunt, to dominate the others.
And it's interesting, right? Because Jack embodies that seductive pull of power, especially when fear and uncertainty are running high.
Yeah.
He appeals to the boys' baser desires, the thrill of the hunt, the freedom from rules.
There's the raw power, right?
Exactly. And little by little, he starts chipping away at that fragile civilization they were trying to build.
And that's where the central conflict of the book really kicks in. Ralph and Piggy are, clinging to hope, holding on to those rules of society, hoping for rescue.
Right.
While Jack and his crew, well, they're descending deeper and deeper into savagery.
And Golding portrays this descent so masterfully. It's not sudden, it's gradual, almost like a slow-burning fuse. They start painting their faces, engaging in these ritualistic chants and dances. Their language becomes more brutal, their actions more impulsive.
And it's disturbing because you see it happening, but you're powerless to stop it.
Right.
And what's even more disturbing is that Golding isn't just pointing fingers at these kids.
Right.
It's like he's saying this potential for savagery,
Yeah.
it's within all of us.
Exactly.
Just waiting for the right or wrong set of circumstances to come along.
And it makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
What would I do in that situation? Would I be able to hold on to my morals, or would I succumb to those same primal urges?
And then there's Simon.
Yes.
He's the one who seems to get it,
He understands the island, the darkness that's taking hold.
He's almost like a prophet, isn't he? Sensing the true nature of the beast that terrifies the others.
Exactly. But his fate, man, it's a gut punch.
Yeah.
Mistaken for the beast, killed by the other boys in a frenzy of fear.
It's a moment of pure horror, and it shows just how quickly fear can turn into murderous mob mentality.
Yeah, and it really highlights the fragility of reason, of logic, when that primal fear takes over.
Right, like a switch flips and suddenly they're not individuals anymore.
Yeah.
They're this collective driven by pure instinct.
But it's not just instinct, right? There's this ritualistic element to it, too.
Oh, absolutely.
The way they hunt, the chants, the face paint.
It speaks to our deep-seated need to belong,
Yeah.
to be part of a group, even if that group is doing terrible things.
Yeah, it's like that higher level thinking just shuts down.
Yeah.
The ability to reason,
Yeah.
to empathize.
Right.
Golding, he really captured how easily that can happen.
Yeah.
How a group dynamic can, like, amplify the worst parts of us.
Absolutely. And you see it in the way they treat Piggy, too.
Oh, yeah.
Piggy, who represents the opposite of that primal instinct.
Right.
He's all about reason, logic, intellect,
Yeah.
constantly trying to pull them back from the brink,
Uh-huh.
But he's mocked, ridiculed for his appearance, for needing his glasses.
And those glasses, man, they become such a powerful symbol.
Oh, absolutely.
They represent Piggy's ability to see clearly,
Right.
to understand, to make sense of the situation.
Exactly.
Which is something the others, lost in their fear and frenzy, can't do.
And when the glasses are smashed,
Oh, man.
devastating.
It's not just Piggy losing his eyesight.
No.
It's the destruction of reason, of intellect on that island.
It's like the last flickering light of civilization going out.
Yeah. And speaking of things being snuffed out, we got to talk about the fire.
The fire, right.
In the beginning, it's hope, right?
Yeah.
That connection to the outside world, the possibility of rescue.
A sign that they haven't been completely forgotten.
Exactly. But then as things spiral downward,
It takes on a different meaning.
it does.
It becomes a tool of destruction.
Yeah.
A symbol of their primal urges,
Mm-hmm.
their willingness to burn it all down.
It's like the fire itself becomes a character, almost.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
this embodiment of unchecked power.
And speaking of unchecked power, there's Roger.
Roger, yeah.
Starts off kind of in the background, but
But he transforms.
he does into this chilling representation of pure cruelty.
It's scary how quickly it happens.
It is. Remember that scene where he's throwing stones at Henry,
Oh, yeah.
but he deliberately misses?
Right.
Like there's still some shred of restraint there.
some last bit of humanity holding on.
But it doesn't last.
No.
Those boundaries, they crumble.
Yeah.
And he becomes this willing participant in the violence.
And then the way he kills Piggy.
Brutal.
That's a turning point.
It is. The point of no return.
Like Golding's saying, even a sliver of civilization can't hold back the darkness forever.
A chilling thought, but
But an important one.
absolutely.
I mean, that's what makes Lord of the Flies so powerful, so lasting.
It forces us to confront those uncomfortable truths
About ourselves.
and about the fragility of everything we hold dear.
Right. It's not just a story about these boys on an island.
It's an allegory
Uh-huh.
for the human condition.
Yeah. This battle between our better angels and our darker impulses.
That's always there, simmering beneath the surface.
Like Golding's holding up this mirror to society.
showing us the potential for both good and evil that exists within each of us.
And it's not about pretending the dark side doesn't exist.
Right.
It's about acknowledging it and choosing to fight against it.
Exactly.
That choice, it's something we have to make every day.
As individuals and as a society.
Do we give in to fear, to hatred, to division?
Or do we choose reason, empathy, compassion?
Now, for those of you who are really diving deep into Lord of the Flies, let's talk about some of the literary techniques that Golding uses.
Okay.
He's a master of symbolism, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We've already touched on the conch, the glasses, the fire,
Yeah.
but there's so much more. Even the island itself.
The island,
It's this symbol of isolation.
this microcosm of the world,
Yeah.
where they're free to create their own society, but...
But look what happens.
Exactly. And then there's the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, that pig's head offering.
Joe Groza.
It really speaks to the darkness that's taken root.
It's like a physical manifestation of their descent into savagery.
Uh-huh.
The sacrifice of their innocence, their humanity, to appease this primal fear.
And it ties into the theme of religious sacrifice, too. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
How easily it can be twisted into something dark and destructive.
And Golding uses foreshadowing so well, too.
Yeah, he does.
Building suspense, creating that sense of impending doom.
Like the hints about Roger's cruelty early on.
Or the descriptions of the beast lurking in the jungle.
Yeah.
Little moments that plant these seeds of unease.
Yeah, preparing us for what's to come.
And when the violence does erupt, Golding doesn't shy away from it.
Nope.
He uses vivid language, stark imagery to convey the horror of it all.
It's brutal. But he also balances those dark moments with moments of beauty, of tenderness,
Yeah.
almost like reminders of what's been lost.
Simon's encounter with the parachutist, for example.
Yeah.
A moment of grace in the midst of all the chaos.
It's like a glimmer of hope, of the possibility of something better.
Right.
But then that ending.
Oh, the ending.
Tragic, but also, I don't know, hopeful in a strange way.
How so?
Well, the arrival of the naval officer, it represents rescue, right?
Yeah.
A return to adult authority to the outside world.
But he arrives just as they're hunting Ralph.
Yeah.
Their savagery is on full display.
And he's totally oblivious.
Completely.
He sees them as just boys playing a game.
He doesn't grasp the depths of what's happening.
It's chilling.
It is.
Like Golding saying the adult world, it often fails to see, to truly understand.
In that the cycle of violence, it continues.
Yeah. Beyond the island, beyond this specific situation.
It makes you think about the historical context, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Golding wrote Lord of the Flies after World War II,
Right.
a time when the world was grappling with the horrors of the Holocaust, the atomic bomb.
The shadows of war hanging heavy over everything.
And you can feel that in the book, that bleak view of human nature.
Yeah.
Golding had seen firsthand the consequences of unchecked power, the depths of human cruelty.
He was also deeply concerned about the Cold War,
Oh, absolutely.
the threat of nuclear annihilation.
That sense of impending doom permeates the entire novel.
Yeah. It's like he's saying, look, this is what we're capable of. If we're not careful, this is where we're headed.
It's a sobering message, but one that we need to hear.
And I think that's why Lord of the Flies still resonates with us today, all these years later.
It speaks to something fundamental about the human condition.
That struggle between our better and worse selves.
And it reminds us that our choices, both individually and collectively, they have consequences.
They shape the world we live in.
Mm.
So we've talked about the plot, the characters, the historical context.
Yeah.
But what about the book's lasting impact? I mean, Lord of the Flies, it's sparked so many debates over the years.
Well, I think one reason it's so enduring is its ambiguity. Golding, he doesn't give us easy answers, you know? He doesn't say, like, here's the beast, and this is exactly what it means, or the boys were evil from the start, or, you know, here's how they could have been saved.
Yeah.
He leaves it open to interpretation.
Which makes it perfect for discussion, for analysis.
Exactly. And because it's such a raw, visceral story, it gets at these anxieties we have. About civilization, about power, about the darkness that's, you know, maybe lurking beneath the surface of things.
And those anxieties, they feel pretty relevant these days, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, think about all the political division, the extremism we're seeing, people losing trust in institutions.
It's like we're seeing some of the themes of Lord of the Flies playing out in the real world.
Yeah, it's kind of unsettling.
To see how quickly things can unravel.
How that order we rely on can just disappear.
And it makes you wonder, have we actually learned from the past, from the mistakes, the horrors?
It's like Golding's giving us this warning, this reminder that we can't just assume civilization will always be there.
Right. It takes work. It takes constant effort to maintain those structures that keep our darker impulses in check.
And it's not just about those big societal structures either, right?
Right.
It's about individual choices too.
Absolutely.
Like, do we choose to be Ralph, fighting for reason?
Right.
Or do we become Jack, giving in to power and violence?
That's the question, isn't it? That's what makes it so powerful.
And that's probably why it's still taught in so many schools.
It's not just a story. It's like this mirror, you know, reflecting back at us our own capacity for both good and bad.
Yeah. I think that's a really good way to put it. So to wrap up our deep dive into Lord of the Flies, I think the main takeaway here is this book, it's not just a scary story.
No.
It's a challenge. It's asking us to confront those dark parts of ourselves, to realize that civilization, it's fragile, and to make choices that lead us towards something better.
That's a challenge worth taking on, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll wrap things up here. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Lord of the Flies. Keep diving deep, and we'll see you next time.